Third pace.
What if I told you branding is like the skeleton that holds your business together? It's not just about colors and fonts. It's the logical framework that gives your brand its identity and appeal. In this episode, we're breaking down the myths and showing you how branding is the key to unlocking your business's true potential. On this episode of Content on the Go. Hey everyone, I'm Darren Lake and welcome to Content on the Go, a podcast by Podpaste. Each episode, we answer questions or talk about one specific idea to help you market your business or brand better. And we do that by making them easy to digest, short and concise, because we all have a business to run. Let's go. With over 20 years of bilingual content and communications experience, Chris excels in creating and managing impactful content across various platforms. At the time of this publication, Chris is the global content marketing lead at Byte Plus, who is known for apps like TikTok, Pico, CapCut, and Lemon 8. What you'll learn: why branding is more than just aesthetics and it's your logical role in your business strategy, how a strong brand persona enhances your SEO efforts and boosts your marketing ROI, practical tips on organizing your creative processes for more efficient and impactful branding efforts, and more. Let's go.
Like, I think in marketing today, especially about branding, we're talking so much about data and measurable analytics, but we forget at the end of the day, it's just, human beings telling a lot of stories, right? And but that also double-edged sword, because a lot of people would say that it's just fluff, like it's not something that we need. And especially for the small, medium enterprises in Southeast Asia, they would say, it's really not something that I would want to invest money into at this moment. Do we really need marketing? Like, what's some of the big brands and lovely brands that you like, Darren?
I like the wholesome brands.
Yeah.
I like the brands that they're holistically good, meaning that they're trying to do good in the world. They're as transparent as they can be. This is one thing that I've learned. Derek Sivers said it best. He said, be so good at your business and helping people, your clients or customers, that if they don't need you anymore, you're absolutely fine with that. And obviously it's like, well, then you don't have a business, but like, you actually should be that good. You shouldn't make them have to keep coming back by making your product fail after a few years. So that's what I mean by holistic. And some of the brands, I'd say, I like Apple, but obviously Apple plays their games. They play their marketing games. This is a personal thing. I have a whole lot of Apple stuff,
Yeah.
I like Apple. I'm kind of trapped in the Apple ecosystem. A cool brand, a small brand, is Atreyu, and they're a running company. I have a big endurance sport running brand that is called D-Lake Creates. So I've been trying to find the cool brands that are, they're holistic, they're good. And again, it's not like a do-gooder in the sense. It's not like a NGO, non-profit, not like that in the sense. Obviously, that's nice, people that are giving back to the world. But again, it's more the transparency. And they are so damn transparent with what they do. And they came out with a shoe that is rivaling all the big shoes. So, Nikes and all those running shoes are like the high-end ones are $350, $400, right?
Yeah.
They're ridiculous. You wear them for 400Ks, which for you people that are on miles, 250 miles, and it's $400. It's like $1 a kilometer, and it's absurd. So they came out with a shoe that was $75, right? And it was a subscription service. And they were the first shoe company to be a subscription service. And they're an indie startup shoe company. And they do a lot of stuff in-house as much as they can. And it's like a really small team. And they just keep going, we're all about integrity. And their shoe names are like words like integrity. And I think their audience understands them and respects them and trusts them because they're just so different and they're fresh and their designs are just simple. And I'm big and minimal. My brain is complex, but I always try to be minimal. And I feel like their marketing is dope because they're just being them. They're being authentically them.
It sounds like they're solving a problem and staying true to their brand mission. So it's really interesting to see what some of these brands are doing and how they stick to their mission. Like, initially Apple, it's really for the creatives, the designers and the editors and sound engineers will be using like Apple computers, but they still stick to that mission, but they continue to evolve to say that we're also helping fellow people, normal human beings, to just get down to things easily and solving that sort of problems. And they have never deviated from that mission. So I think that there is this very logical element to branding. It's not just all fluff and nothing. Like they need to know how this brand mission works, right? And then they're going to tell a lot of different stories that would tie back to the brand mission. And that to me, it's just very logical. There's nothing fluffy about that. But I guess a lot of people would be saying, how do we actually measure that? Like we have the NPS, and we know that Apple enjoys one of the highest NPS scores in the world. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's really just telling a story and letting people know that this is what you stand for and that you're solving a problem and you're standing by your brand mission.
Exactly, exactly. And let's go to the first point, which is what exactly is a brand persona in branding?
Yeah, like a brand persona is like so mysterious, right? But typically you have maybe like 3 or 4 different personas, a different age group, the demographics, what they do. Is it a housewife, or is it a working man, or is it a grandpa, grandma? So I think the brand needs to have these sort of personalities all mapped out, right? Like because every persona that you're speaking to, you need to appeal to them. So the brand mission stays the same, but for every different persona that you're talking to, you need to appeal to them in their space. And that's why we need to have like content marketing, we need to have like assets, we need to have videos and podcasts and blogs and different kinds of mediums and stories so that we can then activate the brand mission and, use these stories to appeal to these different personas. So like at any given time, all these different people looking at the content and they would be saying like, oh, I know this person, like I understand, like he understands me. Like the brand becomes some kind of friend, a person, to these different personas in their own respective spaces and their own age brackets. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting about the personas. And I think, depending where you are in your marketing cycle with your business, when I first started, that was overwhelming for me. So, I'm going to speak to everyone. I don't know where you are as a listener in your marketing journey with your brand, but you're going to have all this stuff in the back of your head. You might not have it mapped out in a pretty deck in a document, but it's always going to be in the back of your head. Like, this is the type of person I'm going for. Like, you have a certain person, or you might have certain customers or clients that constantly come to you, or that you really like, or that you might want in the future. And that is, a brand persona. So I guess I'm backing it up in identifying and defining what a brand persona is, because if you're new to marketing, it is like a weird thing and it feels like fluff. We'll go back to the fluff thing. It's like brand personas, but it is a thing. Like, is this piece of content, is this product, is this service, who is it for? All right, when you go to sell it, when you're constantly talking about it, you need to always cater it, because you can't have everything for everyone. Yeah. That's like, that's in the States. I'm from the States, obviously I live in Australia now, but that's Walmart, and Walmart's really bland. Like, well, it's like the persona of Walmart isn't great, So it's it's one of those things.
I actually thought they activated their brand pretty well during the pandemic. When COVID first started,
yeah.
And they had a lot of these stories coming out from the from the ground level, and that's also something that I learned a lot. When I was applying some of those storytelling techniques to NTUC FairPrice before, when I was working. So I think like a lot of brand managers, they think about branding as, like the brand playbook, the colors, the font, and these are just the artifacts, right? Like you need the artifacts to facilitate all the stories that you'll be telling. But ultimately activating the brand, you need to be really doing the storytelling and mapping them according to the personas. Like all these playbooks are just, artifacts, without any activation. It's useless to me. Yeah.
I was hesitant of brand personas in creating them, but then when I did that, I sat down and did a proper marketing plan, and I was like, oh wow, this is liberating. Now I know exactly who I'm talking to, and all the things that come in with 3 or 4 personalities, and your personas, and how they appeal to your audience. How I need to appeal to my audience. It then all those questions are answered because I've done this brand playbook of sorts in this brand personas. Do you agree with that? Disagree?
Yeah,
Anything to
know,
add?
like, it's so different talking to you and say talking to someone like my dad, but it's the same tool that's going to help you and my dad to do the same thing, if you're hopping onto the same bandwagon. So I think like the different ways of telling the stories to a different person, you need to really look at the nuances and be very refined in that way of storytelling. I mean, even the tone and all that, right? The language, the lingo, and the pace of storytelling. Like if I'm talking to you, like I need to be dope as well, I guess.
Wow, you called me dope. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I know, but that's generally the basis. I feel like what brand personas should be, right? I mean, at the end of the day, when they measure the NPS score, and they're going to be asking the same questions to all these different people from different backgrounds and different personalities and different age brackets. And if you're just using one way to tell the stories, then all these different people may not react the same way. But if you're catering to each of them, then I guess at the end of the day, across the spectrum, they will feel like it's the same friend, but he's able to talk to them in a unique manner.
So we've got a lot more to cover in, this is just the general kind of overview of the next 3 episodes. So we'll just quickly go over episode 2, or the next section, which is how it all connects to actual SEO that you're paying money for. So tell me more about that, Chris.
Yeah, I guess some people might say like, if I want to invest money, might as well I do SEO, rather than branding. But they all come together, right? Like you pay an agency, and at the end of the day, your agency would just ask you for the same things over and over again. What do you want to do? What do you want to sell? And then they go try hit the jackpot, and sometimes they don't, you see. But do you really know what your brand stands for? Or, does any of these SEO optimization elevate anything for your brand? Normally, the answer is no. So it does help you in a tactical way, but it doesn't really elevate the brand. So there's a lot more to do in SEO to elevate the brand, and I guess we can talk about it when we come to that episode. And the next one is about creativity, right? Like branding is so much about telling stories and creating all these crazy creative assets. And we have huge branding videos that we see from the likes of Apple, and then we have the smaller ones where you do episodic and thematic stuff, but it's just creativity. And I think the management needs to understand how they should let the guys do their thing. Oh, story of our lives. I mean, we are doing the exact same thing, I mean, at Metagy, and this creating business versus art. There's a lot of logic to even creating art itself, like just editing a video. There's so much orderliness to that. And I feel like the management or the leaders need to understand how they can let the team run things. And, they don't have to know exactly what to do, but if they understand the logics behind, the orderliness of creativity, they can then let their hands go and help the team be themselves. So I think we can learn about that in the episode.
Yeah, I really like how you frame this, because this is something I've been I wouldn't say struggling with, but it's just been bouncing around my head for months and years now. And it's the organization or the orderliness of your creativity. And creativity, like, a lot of people, it's free flowing, it's just, dude, just go with your flow and go with how I'm feeling for the day. And the most creative people that produce consistent content or consistent media, whatever it is, consistent things, art, they actually have a structure. And, there's a lot of resources out there. I think it was Julia Cameron, but she wrote a book called The Artist's Way. And I read that in 2008, 2009. And it basically was just like these fundamental systems and processes that you can use to really like prime your brain and get you ready to be a creative. And it's, it's like taking dates with yourself, journaling in the morning, all these things. And you just like basically getting yourself ready to put out a lot of crap and then filter through the crap. And that's more the artist way. But when you think about creativity and art in the business, it's very similar. And, to produce consistent content or whatever you're doing, whatever your business is, obviously content marketing it's a tool that a lot of people can use. Most likely you are using it. And Content marketing, again, for just some people that might not know, is basically YouTube. It's this. It's video, it's audio, it's blogs, newsletters, photos, etc. That's content marketing, where you're not actually paying for it necessarily. You're just putting out stuff and, hoping that people start trusting your brand. You're educating them. You're giving value. But you need to be organized, because a lot of people, they sit there, I'm going to start an Instagram account. I'm going to start a YouTube account for my business. And then they sit there and they do maybe a couple weeks if they're lucky. And then they go, I don't know what's right about. I got anxiety. Oh, things are hard. And you need a schedule. You need a routine. You need idea. I have idea banks. Yeah. So I've got a lot of these systems and processes that, I'd love to share with you in that episode when we get to it. I'll stop it there. But do you have any closing remarks to kind of get people excited about the next 3 episodes?
We should be getting excited. There's so much going on.
Get excited.
Just giving you a very simple example. So many people are producing TikTok videos these days, and TikTok is so big about music, right? Just pairing images and the collages with music, and the very basic orderliness that you need to do is to understand the rhythm and where the beats are, right? And you cut according to that, and that's just something that you cannot escape. And I always parallel that to how all of these brands and the teams are creating all the creative assets, and that's the sort of orderliness that you have to follow. Yeah.
All right, so the 3 areas that we are going to be covering in the next 3 episodes: what exactly is brand persona, how it connects to SEO that you'll be paying for, and how to organize your creativity and your media and your content of sorts. It's not all content. So any guess closing words, any final thoughts that you have, Chris?
I guess that's about it. It is actually not fluff. There's so much logic to brand building.
From Podpaste, you've listened to Content on the Go. Again, I'm Darren, and Podpaste hopes you found more insights and tips into your business or brand. If you've liked what you heard, please share a link with other businesses or marketers if you think they would get something from this. And for a limited time, we are offering 2 special services for people. The first is aimed at businesses that have never done podcasting and want to try it out before committing to a full series. Think Try Before You Buy, where we will edit and repurpose a podcast episode into 10 pieces of content for you for only $95. That's 82% off our normal rate. But if you already have a podcast going, we'd love to edit an episode for free for you, or repurpose it into 10 pieces of content to show you what is possible. Either way, sign up at the link in the show notes or YouTube description below to jump on a quick 10-minute discovery call where we can brainstorm ideas or audit your existing podcast and help shape your next series.